Hola a todos! So as promised, I know it's a little bit last minute since some of you guys may be taking your midterm tomorrow, but I wanted to post the answers to the review and a little quick explanation of things. So on our first section here we have saludos, and if you want to check your answers, get your review out, and we'll go over these. So in formal scenarios, we use the pronoun usted to mean you. So you might often see usted abbreviated as UD, or you might see it with a capital U, either way. You'll most likely use this pronoun when you refer to someone as Mr., so that would be Spanish señor, which is abbreviated by the letters SR, or Mrs., which in Spanish is señora. Now, side note, you'll capitalize these words whenever you're using them directly to address somebody. So like, señora, ¿qué hora es? So, ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, what time is it? Then you would capitalize it. But when you're talking about somebody, like say Mrs. Blanco or Mrs. Rojas, you would use a lowercase s. To ask someone's name using this form, the question is, ¿Cómo se llama usted? Now, you don't necessarily need the word usted in here, but it's very common to use it because that form se llama is actually the verbal form for both él and ella, as well as usted. So just to avoid any kind of ambiguity, we can use the pronoun there. To ask how someone is doing using this form, the question is, ¿Cómo está? Or ¿Cómo está usted? Again, the usted is not necessary, but it's really common to use it. In informal scenarios, we use the pronoun tú to mean you. Okay? You'll most likely use this pronoun when you refer to a friend, which in Spanish is amigo or amiga. I'm just going to write amigo for the sake of brevity. Or classmate, which in Spanish would be compañero or compañera de clase. Notice this is the same word that we use for a roommate, compañero or compañera de cuarto. To ask someone's name using this form, the question is, ¿Cómo te llamas? Now notice here it's really not common to use the word tú in here, unless you were really emphasizing, what's your name? My name is Maria, what is your name? You could throw ¿Cómo te llamas tú? In there, but it's not needed. And then our tú form for how are you is ¿Cómo estás? And again, we don't need the word tú. A generic greeting we can use both in informal and informal situations is ¿Qué tal? ¿Qué tal? So the responses to the question ¿Qué tal? Would be things like bien or mal or más o menos, the same kind of things you would use to respond to ¿Cómo estás? A more informal greeting is ¿Qué hay de nuevo? So what's new? What's up? Appropriate responses to this would include nothing, which in Spanish is nada. Oops. Yeah. Nada. Or, everything's good. Todo bien. Okay, preséntate. Introduce yourself here answering the following questions. Here I just want to know that you guys actually know how to introduce yourself. This is kind of a end of the semester, if we were going to do an overall assessment, what have you learned? I would hope that you would be able to do these basic things. So, ¿Quién eres? Who are you? So you could say, I'm going to pretend, my name is Katie. So, soy Katie, or me llamo Katie. Let's say I'm from Dallas. So, soy de Dallas, Texas, or Texas. ¿Cuántos años tienes? I'll pretend I'm 20. I would say, tengo 20 años. ¿Dónde vives? Vivo en Nacogdoches, or vivo en una residencia estudiantil en el campus de Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches, Texas, if you wanted a really long answer. ¿Qué estudias? So give your major here. Estudio, let's say I study chemistry, estudio química. And this year I have English, math, physics, and music. So tengo inglés, I don't remember what I just said. Inglés, matemáticas, música, inglés, whatever you want to put in there. So again, real quick, those forms are soy or me llamo, soy de, tengo, vivo, estudio, and then tengo again. Subject pronouns. So just fill out this table. So our first person singular form here is the word yo. Our second person singular form, which is the you informal form, that you would use with friends or people you're on a pretty familiar basis with, is tú. Our third person singular, we have él with an accent on the E, ella, and then usted. Our first person plural, we, nosotros, or nosotras, if it's a group of all females. Second person plural, so that's like saying y'all or you all. Informal version, which only exists in Spain, is vosotros or vosotras. Our third person plural, they, ellos, or ellas for all female. And then we have our form of y'all or you all that we can use anywhere in the world, not just Spain, but Mexico, Guatemala, Peru, Argentina, Panama, anywhere in the Spanish-speaking world, we can always use the term ustedes. The difference is that in Spain, we have ustedes, which is reserved for formal situations, and then we have our vosotros, which is reserved for informal, but the rest of the world will always just use ustedes. Okay? Ser or estar, so some keys to remember. So estar is for location. So if I want to ask you, where are you? The form is donde estás? But it's not for origin. So if I'm telling where I'm from, or I'm asking you where you're from, you're going to ask de donde eres, which is a form of ser. Estar is used for health and for emotions. So I would say, how is your professor? Like, I heard he was sick. How is he doing? That would be como está tu profesor. Notice that this tu, by the way, is not you, but it's your. But it's not for general description. So if I want to ask you, what's your professor like? How is he as a professor? Is he hard? Is he easy? Is he friendly? Is he demanding? That would be como es. Como es tu profesor. We can't use estar also to connect two nouns. This is really helpful. So if you're ever in doubt whether to use ser or estar and you have a noun, so you want to say, I am a student, and you say, yo estoy estudiante. Well, yo is a pronoun, estudiante is a noun, so we actually can't use estar there. We have to say, yo soy estudiante. A lot of people might have learned that ser is for permanent things and estar is for impermanent things. That works sometimes, but it doesn't always work. So, I'll give that statement with a caution. It does not always apply. So let's take a look at these questions. Los estudiantes de francés, the French students, blank en Francia. Okay, so they are in France. So that's location. So we will use estar. So los estudiantes, we will choose the ellos form, están en Francia con la profesora Johnston. Número 2, blank tú de México. Okay, our key here is the word de. De is from in this case, so are you from Mexico? We will use the word that we reserve for origin, which is ser. So your tú form for ser is eres. ¿Eres de México? Número 3, los profesores blank simpáticos y organizados. Now these are just general description adjectives, so we'll use a form of ser, in this case son. So los profesores son simpáticos y organizados. Número 4, el bebé contento. Contento is an emotion, so that will use estar. El bebé está contento. And lastly, ustedes enfermos? Are you guys sick? Sick is not an emotion, but it is a temporary condition, so we will use están. Están ustedes enfermos. For the classroom items, this part should be fairly easy, so just listen for some vocabulary words. So if I said mochila, write what you hear. Mochila, and then in your next blank you would write the English, which is backpack. Lápices, pencils. Let's try to think what else we have in our chapter. Botella. Tableta. And then we had mesas. So, stuff like that. So you guys can practice that on your own. Expressions with tener. So review your conjugations of tener. So that's tengo, tienes, tienen, tenemos, tenéis, tienen. Alright, and if you remember, this verb tener comes with a bunch of expressions. In English, we would express these things with the verb to be. So we don't say I have sleep, but I am sleepy. In Spanish, however, we use the verb tener and our noun form of the word instead of an adjective. So our example here would be tú tienes sueño. Número uno, aquí los animales en el zoológico, the animals are hot, is what we would say in English. In Spanish, it's literally have heat. So la forma de ellos es tienen, so los animales tienen calor. Tienen calor. Número dos, yo cold. I am cold or I have cold. Yo tengo frío. Número tres, Ana y Pedro tienen hambre. Número cuatro, nosotros tenemos sed. Número cinco, la niña tiene miedo. Número seis, vosotros tenéis prisa. Okay, now our verb ir. Our forms of ir are voy, vas, va. So, va for that last box. Vamos, vais, van. So to connect your verb with the place you're going or an activity you're doing, use the preposition a. So to translate the following, número uno, I'm going to the library, es voy a la biblioteca. Número dos, we're going to the gym. In fact, I'll write these for you. So, voy a la biblioteca. Vamos al gimnasio. By the way, you could say yo voy, and we could say nosotros vamos, but we actually don't need those words in there. They're extra. Juan va a la residencia, or la residencia estudiantil. They're going home. Van a casa. Let's go. Vamos to the cafeteria, a la cafeteria. So notice our only form that takes this al is when we have a word with el. A plus el is al. Okay, real quick, culture. So familiarize yourself with some basic info about Spain from your book. That should not be too hard to memorize. Just some basic facts, some basic cities. So all we're doing here is matching these. So the city of Salamanca, the answer to this is E, the location of the oldest university in Spain. Número dos, Gallego, Catalan, and Euskera are languages spoken in addition to Spanish in the Iberian Peninsula. So Gallego is spoken in northwest Spain, Catalan is spoken in northeast Spain, in the region of Catalonia, which recently has been in the news a lot because of the referendum to become an independent country. And then Euskera is another word for Basque, and Basque is a language that's totally unrelated to anything else, but that's spoken in northern Spain. All right. Número tres, La Alhambra. Alhambra is the last Arab fortress located in Granada. It's a beautiful place, by the way. One of the most beautiful places I've ever been, so I highly recommend it. Número cuatro, Los Árabes controlled the country from 711 to 1492. That's why if you go to southern Spain, central and southern Spain, you can see a lot of Arabic influence in the architecture and some other things. So it's really interesting. And then La Feria de Abril then is the celebration that's in Sevilla, which is also in southern Spain, that has bullfights, flamenco music, and other things that we tend to imagine when we think about the country of Spain. We tend to imagine these types of things that occur in La Feria de Abril. Find the mistakes. Número uno, el profesor es muy amable y simpática. All right, so my suggestion to y'all for this part is that you look at your subject and verb, see if they agree. El profesor es looks good. Now look at your adjectives. Do your adjectives agree? We have amable, that's good. And then we have simpática. Problem with simpática needs to be masculine, simpático. Número dos, eres un bueno amigo, Jose. Little thing here, I don't know if you guys remember this, but when we have the word bueno, and we have it before a singular masculine noun, so like amigo, perro, bolígrafo, we're going to shorten it to buen. Eres un buen amigo. Notice that's only with masculine. So if it had been María, eres una buena amiga. But José, eres un buen amigo. Estáis de Salamanca. Problem with this is we need a verb, a form of the verb ser. You are from Salamanca is sois de Salamanca. Paco y Luis, ¿estás cansado? Well, first of all, we need the form están, and then plural cansados to match Pablo or Paco y Luis. And hay no exámenes. To make sentences negative, we put the no before the verb. No hay exámenes. Okay, I've got 10 seconds until this recording runs out. So I hope that was somewhat helpful to you guys. If you have not taken your exam yet and you have questions, get in touch with me. Hasta luego y buena suerte.